All right, so everybody, we are back again for another episode of the Coaches Compass. Don't know what episode it is, just know that it's season 4, right? Because we continue to bring out cool guests from all across the world and continue to just record. So remember, hit that like, subscribe, comment button down below so we continue to have this thing grow and continue to bring out cool guests from all across the world. I am joined with me today with another special guest. It's Coach Kenna out of Army West Point. She is the Director of Sports Performance. And in 2024, she was named the NSCA Assistant Strength Coach of the Year, but most importantly, a wife and a mom. Coach,
Yep.
thank you and welcome.
Thank you. That was a nice intro.
I try to do my best, because you guys are doing such a tremendous job in what you guys are doing. But Coach, when did you realize that coaching was more than a job and that it was your calling?
I mean, this sounds crazy, but there's never really been a plan B for me. I've been coaching my entire life in some capacity. Growing up, I played a ton of sports, and when I wasn't I'm talking middle school. When I wasn't playing, I was coaching younger groups and younger age groups of that sport. And then I fell in love with the weight room, being in athletics, and I just kind of knew that this was my path.
What was it like to transition though from being an athlete to then going into the coaching side? How is it to let go of that athlete title and then now be a coach and then working with athletes when you see they have so much potential and you're like, hey, I just want you to get it. Like just these little pieces. If you do this, I promise you, you'll be better than I ever was.
Right. Well, I guess it's a twofold answer for me. In some ways, uh, favorite sports were taken from me. I had a back surgery going into my senior year of high school. So then that completely forced the path to be changed. And then the second part of the answer is I really haven't hung it up. Not that I'm good at anything. I dabble in all competing things possible. Since I've never, let's see, once I healed my back in college, I was bodybuilding. I've done powerlifting. I now run marathons for fun. Not a
That's
high,
fun.
high level by any means, but I would call myself a lifelong competitor, and so I still kind of haven't stopped.
No, that's great. I mean, I don't know how fun marathons are because I couldn't tell you if I've run a mile in a long time
Yeah.
because I just don't enjoy that part. But good for you to continue on things and continue to show your athletes like, hey, like no matter where you are, like you can keep going on. What was one of your biggest misconceptions about coaching when you first started?
You can't just like to work out. It is a service industry. You have to be a servant leader. All your decisions are how can I guide these people in front of me, not just I like to work out and I should expect that they like to work out too. It's how can I have them come a little bit closer to meet me where I am in my passion.
Yeah, I mean, is it hard? I mean, you're at Army, right? So it's a little
Right.
bit different with the athletes that you get in compared to, I say, if you look at a Georgia or a Florida or the
Mhm.
big D1 schools. Like, what is it like to kind of get kids to buy in, but also building around their schedules? Because we talked to our strength and conditioning coach over at Navy, right? And we know
Yeah.
it's the big it's the big rivalry between you two, but I think it's pretty similar when it comes to what you guys had to deal with these guys going into all their military duties too.
Right. So creating buy-in is creating buy-in no matter what setting you are. It's about learning the people in front of you, and because every place has its own different stipulations of why buy-in is hard. You could say Army West Point, they weren't most likely recruited by a power four school. So they also might have military goals or very high achievers in the academic side. So maybe this is their third commitment in their minds. So even though they're these high performing individuals, I have to make sure that when they're with me, that they're with me and they're not stressed about all these other things that they feel pressure from. Or maybe a power four institution, that type of athlete, all they have to worry about is their sport. I don't know. So they're still feeling a ton of pressure. So it's how can I help them out and have them believe that what they're doing with me is worthwhile.
Right. Guarantee that has ups and downs every day, right? Because they're dealing with a lot of different things going on. I mean, especially, you got your seniors that maybe they're coming up on their last year and they don't know if the sport's going to continue on past this, but they also have a military duty afterwards, because
Yeah.
of the contracts and stuff that they sign. But when you got into this coaching world, like you said, you started off when you were in middle school coaching the younger groups and stuff, but now you're in the college sector. And you've got a
Mhm.
lot of coaches, the younger coaches out there that are maybe chasing badges or chasing, a title or something like that. What is something that no one prepared you for when you got into this?
I think like the professional knowledge will only take you so far. You can, I like to think of knowledge as like this three type process or whatever. It's where at first, like, you just want the professional knowledge of like, I need to read everything. I need to know everything. I need to be a know it all, or I need to be the strongest or the best, like under the bar so my athletes listen to me. That's all like your professional knowledge. But then it really like starts taking over in your career to that interpersonal and that intrapersonal knowledge. Right. So that interpersonal knowledge is like, how do I build relationships? How do I connect with my athletes? How can I figure out what each individual needs in a team setting? And then like the interpersonal is like, how am I actually being an asset to this program, to this department? And, to where people know when I walk in a room what I stand for, what my ethics are. So I think those last two people kind of like fall off and we don't ever really touch. It's just about who knows the most or who looks part of the strength coach the most or who can be, the most captivating initially in the room when like really that's not going to make someone listen to you for 4 years.
Right, because you got 4 years with them to try to get, and now you guys are talking about an even crazier world that you guys are in with NIL deals, transfer portal, all that stuff. Even though you guys are at a different school, there's still that still happens for you guys. And the time being that you guys are in is completely different than what we were before, when there wasn't really transfer portal and they could put stipulations on you for transferring and all that stuff. So that connection is huge for
Right.
you guys to be able to build it. But on top of that, you've got like the pressures of your own life, right? You're pouring into a lot of athletes, but how do you handle the pressure of, pouring into yourself and managing your own personal life along with mental health and the burnout? And then, you're a mom, your
Yeah.
wife, right? Like you're balancing right now podcasting and having your daughter there with you, right? A little bit of quietness.
Right.
How do you balance find the balance and give yourself time to also, get personal space?
I think like we're all just juggling. I don't believe that there's this like, work life balance where I leave one and then the other happens. It's synergy. It's all connected. My daughter's with me today at work just because that's how the plans worked. So it's this constant juggling act. And then I think the best like analogy I've ever heard is like we're all juggling. I just need to know which balls are glass and which are plastic and are going to bounce back up if they fall initially. And if when things come up, if I can immediately categorize like, oh no, this is urgent, it's going to be okay. I can delegate this. You're going to be okay. So I think that's just kind of how, I just kind of dismiss it. It's like, okay, I'm at work and I don't think about my children. Then I go home and I don't think about my athletes. It's not that at all. My athletes are very like aware of all the things in my life, and it touches on that relationship piece where I think we're only closer because of it.
How can you ever just leave your job and just completely forget about it, right? Because it's too tough, especially when you care about it, right?
Oh
Like you
yeah.
care about the kids like they're your own, because like their parents have trusted you with
Oh
them
yeah.
for these 4 years, right? Especially at the institute you guys are at. Like it's completely different than anything that other schools are going through. Now in that period, that you're dealing with this personal life balance and you're juggling in the glass balls and the plastic balls. Have you ever considered walking away from coaching? And if so, like what made you stay?
Like, I mean, this is like all I know, and that sounds silly. I am so passionate about it that I believe that this is my purpose, and I wouldn't be true to myself by walking away. Does that mean there's going to be tough days? And I'm like, why do I feel this pressure? Why was I like, feel that I wake up every day and was given this task to do this? But I don't know if I'm just delusional or I just have this inner belief in myself that I can do it all. But I don't know. I just keep trying. And I've never really thought about like walking away per se, but then you're always, like I'm always going to be a coach, no matter what capacity that looks like. I'm not the best one to answer that because I just feel like so purpose driven in this.
No, I mean I think that's a great answer. I mean we're all a little bit delusional, right?
You know, I've if you don't feel that, then maybe find something that you do feel so purposeful for.
Right. I mean,
Yeah,
at the end of the day, like there's going to be a lot of hours that you put in. There's going to be a lot of time that maybe your daughter can't be there with you, right? Or you're not at home as much. But if you truly love it, then it's not really a job, right? You're just kind of living in your purpose. Right? So
right.
why would it ever feel like you need to walk away? So I guess we're all a little bit delusional, right? No matter what walk of life we're in, if you're chasing something that's super crazy and far out there, everybody's gonna think you're a little bit crazy, right? Like it's
Yeah,
supposed to be
exactly.
like that. Like not everybody's supposed to understand the journey of what you're going through. what's one core belief you had about strength and conditioning that changed over the years, and what changed it?
I guess like the the actual, I mean, my programs have changed so much through the years. We'll just like give the example. Like I used to be before West Point, just very like rigid and okay, we're gonna do an Olympic movement, then we're gonna squat, and then we're gonna do, our push, our pull, and our accessories. And I think I've gotten a lot more lenient and what method I use to implement the system that I want and to get the response that I want. I'll use an example. Like I used to be way more into Olympic lifting, and not that I'm not anymore. It's just like I've been with baseball for 8 years at Army, and it's just not what is needed to get things done with all of my athletes. So I've definitely just been more focused on not how or what we want, not how we get there.
Right, right. And how hard is it to kind of change that mindset, over the years? I mean, because you come in with one mindset of like, hey, I love Olympic lifting, like we're gonna do that, and you're looking at your athletes, you're like, man, this really isn't helping them. This isn't doing much. And like for the baseball guys, I mean, baseball is just completely different. Not completely different, but some of the stuff they do is just, especially in season, is different
Right.
than what football would do, right? So how was that to kind of get the buy-in for that?
I think it comes just like you have to care about your athletes more than your ego. So if like the person in front of me is not getting the response that I want, I have to be able to pivot and figure out what will get that response. And if you're not willing to do that, you don't care enough about the person in front of you or the team in front of you, the program in front of you. And you're feeling,
That's a lot said right there, right? Like you gotta drop the ego and be
yeah,
able to do what's best for the program and do what's best for the athlete. And sometimes, when you get into this, like they're not trying to hear that. Like, hey, what program I designed is the best program. Like it's supposed to work. Like, don't
right.
ask me any questions about it. But how do you measure success as a coach beyond wins, scholarships, PRs? Like, what is your definition of success for yourself?
I think it's just like being able to be like ruthless in your standards and then flexible to the individuals in front of you. And if you do that, you're going to have relationships with those athletes that carry on way past their playing career. And if you uphold the standards while they're in front of you in training, you know that you're going to make those differences to where the wins will come. That's part of how we are evaluated. Then the relationship piece, how we are evaluated, and then what good we do for our department and helping other coaches in our department so everybody wins. Like I have my teams, but I genuinely want every program at West Point to win, demolish Navy, Air Force, conference championships, get them, put NCAAs. Like I want that for all the teams.
Right, right. How big is that rivalry between Navy and Air Force? Like trying to beat those two every year. Like that's
Yeah.
all.
I'll put it into perspective for you. I went to the University of Alabama. That was right in my undergrad. I interned there for 3 years. Auburn and Alabama is absolutely nothing compared to Army Navy.
Really? Because I was just at the Iron Bowl last year, right? And I was like, man, that's a big deal because I started off at Wake Forest and I transferred to Charlotte. So rivalries for us weren't that huge. But I grew up in the state of Florida, where you got Florida State, Florida, right? You got Miami, Florida, like Georgia, Florida, like all that. But wow, bigger than Auburn,
Yeah.
Alabama.
Like our weight room, the plates don't say go Army. Things don't say go Army. They say beat Navy. That's how you
That's
greet people. Like you don't even say anything else. You just say beat Navy. And it's like,
wow. I didn't know it was that intense. I definitely want to get up and check out the Army versus Navy game. But what's one moment in your coaching career that reminded you why you started or why you'll never stop coaching?
I think Army is like a really good, like I've had a lot of moments lately that are like on the tip of my mind. So I've been here 8 years, and when you get done at West Point, so that would mean like my first full group to go through, you commission or serve 5 years. So some of my first like few classes that I had for 4 years are now at that pivotal point where they're getting out of the army or they're doing really cool things in special forces. And it's coming full circle to where I'm hearing from them and they're never got out of touch and they're still asking me what I think and or for programs or how they can write a program to like run their platoon. So it's really like paying it forward that like, okay, I did this thing in athletics, but it's carrying on to all these leaders that are helping our US military or in our military. And so that's really like important to me and really special to me, where it's like coming full circle now. And my first few schools, like I was there, you know, like with any young coach, I'd be somewhere a year, 2 years, go to the next spot. And then so like if you find a place where you can really see it through, I mean, it's just you're going to have athletes come back and you're still there for them to come check in on you. And you have those moments of like, you get, it's not about the thank yous, but you get to see how it came full circle with those lessons that they learned with you in the weight room. Now they paid off. And they're like connecting the dots that it started with like squats and sets and reps.
You're right. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's awesome to see when I mean, you know it for yourself when you're a former athlete, going back and seeing that one coach that cared about you more than the weight room and the field and all this stuff, but cared about you as a person and how you're going to go on to carry on in life and be a good human. Right. So going back to see them is always awesome. Right. It's one of the best feelings ever is being a coach. They just talk to you, you know, not even about like, and they remind you of like, hey, you remember that one killer workout? Like that was awful, but we made it through. And then like, look at where I'm like little things you reference back to when you're playing time and you're climbing the weight room and stuff with the coach, and it's always awesome that you get that experience to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could go back to your 18-year-old self, what's one piece of advice that you would give to yourself that would help set you up better for the rest of life?
I guess that it's not a race, no, to just not try to speed through the process of, of like getting reps, watching lifts and being on the floor. I feel like, you know, a lot of us just like we're young, we want to we check the box, get the, you know, the certifications and then get the GA and then get this logo, then go to this logo and this logo. But really, like, it's not a race because you're going to end up where you need to be.
That's 100% true. I mean, you just got to remember, like a lot of these young coaches are out here chasing those brackets, chasing those logos, trying to get somewhere that quick, right? Because everything is fast nowadays. Right? Everything is out there to be at your fingertips. But if you had to ask a question to our next guest, what would it be?
I guess, like, what got you in the weight room? That's a question that, like, I always ask younger coaches, or not. Now, this would be a younger coach, but just what got you in there, and like, what keeps you in there?
What is it for you?
I mean, I feel like when I'm helping others train, I get to be this like puppeteer of adversity, to where I get to call the shots of when I know things are going to be hard or when I know I'm going to give them a second to like collect their breath and, you know, get an easy win. And all those things do. I don't think you can build like mental toughness through workouts, but I think you can create adverse situations that help make someone more confident. And then that confident is going to carry over to all the things they do in their lives. So I think that's what will always keep bringing me back. And that's what, to this day, why I still compete in things. I like to do hard things because I know it just carries over into all parts of my life. And, you know, the more that discipline is part of your everyday, you don't get rattled when it comes to like things out of your control that really are big things in life.
Coach, that's amazing. That is so amazing. I'm really, really proud of everything that you're doing over there. And I love that you were able to just, like you said, adversity, jump on today and do this podcast while you have your daughter there with you. You told me all off camera, like, hey, she might get quiet. Now she's all quiet. I got the magic whisper for her. That's perfect. But Coach, I don't want to take up any more of your time today, and we're out of here. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.